Hello everyone, my name is Rick. I'm with Poor Richard's Farm. I'm a grass-fed beef farmer, so I pay a lot of attention to the marketing and promotion of grass-fed beef products. And there's a lot of information out there about the health benefits of grass-fed beef, suggesting that it is better than grain-fed beef. So I want to make a video and give you my thoughts on it. Which one's better for you, grass-fed or grain-fed? My answer might even surprise you a little bit. So we're going to go over that here. Before we do, if you will, please subscribe to our channel here. All of your support means a whole lot to us, and even if you're not buying anything, just the brand awareness alone, it makes a huge impact. So Poor Richard's Farm, poorrichardsfarm.com, and follow us on social media. So let's go over some of the differences here now. At Poor Richard's Farm, we feed our beef grass, and this has a significant effect on the nutritional composition of our beef. In today's modern food system, most cattle are fed grains, but that wasn't always the case. Traditionally, the cattle that our ancestors ate, they roamed free and they ate grass and other plants that they could forage. It really wasn't until the Industrial Revolution that we started feeding cattle grain, and it wasn't until after World War II that industrial feedlots became a thing. The majority of beef produced in the United States is grain-fed. Actually, only 3% of the beef produced here is 100% grass-fed and finished, and this comes mostly from small family farms like ours. You may wonder whether grass-fed beef is a healthier choice for your diet. Today we're going to examine the differences between grass and grain-fed beef so you can determine which one's right for you. The difference between grass-fed cattle and grain-fed cattle, is how that the ways that they're raised. For all beef cattle, life starts out pretty much the same. They're all born in the spring. They get milk from their mothers. They stay with their mothers for a while. They're usually all allowed to roam freely on pasture, eating grass. Even grain-fed cattle, start off eating grass. It's not until they reach around 800 pounds that most conventionally raised cattle are sent to feedlots. The most environmentally damaging are the larger feedlots. They're called concentrated animal feeding operations, or CAFOs. When the cattle are there, they're confined to stalls. A lot of times they're standing in their own filth. They're in an environment that's so unsanitary and crowded that the producers have no choice but to feed them supplemental antibiotics just to keep them healthy enough to survive it. They have no space for exercise. Instead, they're administered supplemental growth hormones. They're fed a grain-based diet that's usually made up of corn and soybeans. It's a lot of calories. They do get a small ration of hay, but it's not nearly enough for the proper function of their rumen. Cattle are designed to eat grass, and too much grain causes digestive problems for the cattle. The cattle are kept in the feedlots until they reach their slaughter weight, which is typically around 1,200 pounds, and then they're sent off to processing facilities. The whole process takes about 16 to 18 months. Our cattle, on the other hand, are 100% grass-fed and finished, so they spend their entire lives out on pasture. They're getting plenty of fresh air, they're getting plenty of exercise, so we don't have to give them supplemental antibiotics. They're living in a clean environment, and they're not crowded. And we want them to come to their slaughter weight naturally, so we don't give them any supplemental hormones either. The whole process takes just a little bit longer, 24 to 36 months. We utilize a managed intensive rotational grazing system that gives our cattle access to the most nutritionally dense forages that we can grow here on the farm. Now, this has a major impact on the nutrient composition of our beef, and this is where you get the significant differences between Poor Richard's Farm grass-fed beef and conventionally raised grain-fed beef. Grass-fed beef has less overall fat than grain-fed beef, so if you had two steaks of the same size, the grass-fed steak would be less calories than the grain-fed steak. The omega-3 content is where grass-fed really shows the difference over grain-fed beef. It contains up to 5 times more omega-3s than conventionally raised grain-fed beef. So a lot of people latch onto this. They make a big deal out of it. It sounds really impressive. But I'm going to tell you, it's really not that impressive at all. So a 4-ounce sirloin of grass-fed beef would contain around 65 milligrams of omega-3 fatty acids, whereas the same size 4-ounce sirloin of grain-fed beef would only have like 13 milligrams of omega-3s. But a 4-ounce whitefish like tilapia or haddock, that'll have 200 milligrams of omega-3s, and 4 ounces of salmon has 2,200 milligrams of omega-3s. Most health experts recommend around 1,000 milligrams of omega-3s in your diet per day. So beef, it's so inherently low on omega-3s that even if it's grass-fed, there's way better sources for omega-3s in your diet out there in fish. And fish is way less resource intensive to raise than cattle. So I want to encourage you to buy our beef sticks, but if you're doing it because it's grass-fed and higher in omega-3s, you'd be better off with a fish stick than one of our beef sticks. Grass-fed beef and grain-fed beef are both highly concentrated sources of nutrients. The difference between them, it's not that much, but across the board, grass-fed does win out on being more nutrient dense than grain-fed beef. But it's not so much that you should change your whole diet over it. They both have they're good sources of B12, B3, B6. They're both rich in bioavailable iron, selenium, zinc. They contain pretty much every nutrient beef does. That it has every nutrient that you need to survive. Grass-fed beef compared to grain-fed beef is slightly higher in vitamin A. Grass-fed beef contains a carotenoid precursor to vitamin A, such as beta-carotene. It gets this from the grasses that it consumes. It's also higher in vitamin E, an antioxidant. It's also higher in other antioxidants overall than grain-fed beef. So nutrition-wise, grass-fed beef is slightly better than grain-fed beef. Where it really stands out is in the omega-3 content. And but beef, it still doesn't have enough omega-3s to justify it being a source for omega-3s in your diet. So if you want the best, grass-fed beef is the overall winner. It is more nutritious than grain-fed beef. And it also has numerous other benefits as well, from the well-being of the cattle, for benefits for the environment. It's good for small family farms, and it benefits rural economies. So you really can't spend your money better elsewhere than purchasing grass-fed beef. And if you're looking to purchase grass-fed beef sticks, you can get them from our farm website. It's www.poorrichardsfarm.com. You can go there and visit us and shop for 100% grass-fed beef sticks. Thank you so much. Have a great day.